Hey, my name is Phylisha Villanueva, and I'm here with Yonkers Voice. I have the pleasure of interviewing my very good friend CJ Parchment today, and I have been a witness to all his transitions, and I really do feel like it's a positive story, and it's one that's very important to share with our community in Yonkers. CJ, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Um, wow. My name is CJ Parchment. They call me CJP or Clive or whatever like that. I'm a young artist from Yonkers and a young business owner from Yonkers. I graduated Saunders High School. I've been running the Hometown Heroes movement since maybe 2012, late 2012. And yeah, life is okay.
Okay, cool. So now, the business that you said you're a business owner, that's Hometown Heroes, right?
Yes.
Okay, what is Hometown Heroes?
Yonkers Hometown Heroes started out as an independent artist movement. It became a company based off the large-scale events that we started to throw in order to bring revenue and also to let our artists be seen on those platforms.
Right. Okay, so I do want to get into more about Hometown Heroes, but I know there's a whole story before we even got to the idea of Hometown Heroes.
Right.
Your fans may want to know right now, and everyone who's watching in the Yonkers community, who's your favorite artist right now?
My favorite artists, I have several favorite artists. Business-wise, I study and admire Jay-Z. Technique, I like Eminem, Lupe Fiasco, and I don't know. I like singers sometimes too. I go back in the day sometimes. I listen to some Anita Baker and Sade and stuff like that.
Cool. And what is your most proud accomplishment so far?
All right, and I tell this story a lot of times too. Every time someone asks me what my greatest accomplishment is, you would think it'd be like a lump sum of money or anything like that. But one of my greatest accomplishments in my heart was when we threw the first Hometown Heroes concert.
Yeah.
And what happened was, I've been doing shows for you know, you've been there for the ride. I've been doing shows as an independent artist for a long time. So when we threw our own show, it was a big deal because I never really was in Yonkers doing shows. I was always trying to go outside, and then when we finally brought it to the hometown, and I looked at the crowd and like I spoke to them, I said, you know, every time I go out of town, I get so mad because they always do the roll call with the Brooklyn, where you at? And Queens, where you at? And I was like, today Yonkers, where it's at, and that crowd roared, like the room shook, and that was probably the best feeling to today. So, yeah.
Awesome, high five. Okay, so let's talk about how this all started. So now, in middle school, you started as a writer. Can you tell me more about what that means? Why were you writing, and who did you have a writer or author that you looked up to, and what did you write about?
At that time I didn't really have an author that I looked up to. I was really into like Harry Potter and stuff like that at that time. As far as like hip hop writers, I hadn't been paying attention so much to the hip hop culture as yet, but at that time, and I didn't even know it because later on in life I was like clinically diagnosed like a depressed person. So like at a young age, that's just kind of how I dealt with things. Like if I felt like I was going crazy out of my mind, I just kind of wrote things down. And what launched me into the whole hip hop culture was when a couple of people in our middle school, you know, gave me acknowledgement for what I was writing, and I dealt with a lot of bullies in middle school, you know what I'm saying? So there was one kid who thought, oh, like, he's trying to rap, he's trying this and that, and then he challenged me or whatever, and then I beat his ass. So so yeah, and once people was like, oh yeah, you can really rap, I'm not gonna front. Like I was like, okay, you know, it gives me a little feeling of self-worth. So that's why I started taking it a little more seriously.
So, being a middle school student and being a writer, and now coming to find out that you were clinically depressed, what type of issues were going on in your middle school as a child? Like, what type of issues were going on? Let's just start there.
Middle school, I was fresh off of losing my oldest brother to gang violence.
So you lost a brother to gang violence?
Yeah.
In Yonkers?
In the Bronx. I'm originally from the Bronx, and we moved to Yonkers when I was probably like maybe 10 years old or something like that. So I was like, in middle school, I was like fresh off of that loss. My household had like a lot of domestic violence and stuff like that that I'm not gonna get into, but there was like a lot of turmoil going on in my life for someone so young. So it was just, yeah, like every day it was just me isolated in my room kind of situation and trying to figure out how to deal with it without wanting to off myself. So yeah, that was that.
Wow. Okay, so what made your brother passed from gang violence. What made you say, was it your brother that made you say, no, I'm not going to take that path. I'm going to keep on writing. I'm interested in rapping. Let's see where this takes me?
I don't think I use my brother to justify my path. I definitely took my brother's leadership qualities as an example. I just knew I wanted to make something of myself, and I felt like I had to do it for him. Like I had to continue a legacy that he was trying to do, because he was a DJ, you know what I'm saying? Just because he got caught up in the wrong crowd and stuff like that, and the environment, it caused his life to be cut short, but his music ambitions I did want to carry on.
Was there anyone during your middle school period that said any quote, any conversation you remember having that kept you on the right track in middle school? Or helped you during that period of your brother and domestic violence?
I don't think it was necessarily a quote, but I think it was more so a person.
Okay.
In middle school, like, all right, because we just came from the Bronx and my mom just lost a son, she tried so hard to like keep me bottled and keep me as this, perfect innocent child, to not go down that same road. So like I was like the only person in my middle school wearing a uniform with my shirt tucked in and all kind of other stuff, and that made it worse for me, because it was like, all right, I'm going through all this stuff at home, and now I'm at school and I'm not gonna accept it at school. It was just horrible. And the person who like gave me the time of day and like really like was there for me as a friend was Rebecca Parrington, and to this day she's now my assistant manager on Hometown Heroes. So I owe a lot to her as far as my emotional growth as a child growing up.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. So, okay, you were writing. Then somewhere in the end of middle school, you were like, all right, I think I'm gonna be a rapper. Okay, so let's forward to about high school. So, 9th grade, high school. What happened there? Where was the shift from I'm a writer, I think I like hip hop, to I'm gonna be an artist and I'm gonna see how far I could make it?
Okay. I met with a producer from Poughkeepsie, and he took me to record my first record, and it was all very scary to me at the time. I was probably like 13, 14 years old, and I'm not gonna front like I'm like Lil Wayne or something like that, where I just got in the booth and I just had it right away. Like when he took me to record my first record, he just looked at my notebook and was like, oh, all right, well, I'm just gonna throw on some beats and just try to like spit it over the beats. And I was like I don't know what I'm doing here. It was like almost as awkward as you losing your virginity. So it was like, it was crazy to me. And when that first record came out, like I had a sense of, okay, I accomplished something, but I knew it wasn't me, you know what I'm saying? I knew it wasn't everything creatively that I could do with music. Like, and when he introduced music to me, I understood, like, okay, that's not how I want it. Like, I know how I want it. So then I started recording with this group, and they kind of helped me develop my skills artistically, gave me a lot of artistic freedom. That group is the Brotherhood. I met them in church, like, and when they gave me a lot more of my artistic freedom is how I developed my first mixtape. I think like maybe 11th grade or something like that. I released the Revelation on iTunes and all that stuff, and that's when I was really into doing shows pretty heavy around that time.
During that time, can you give an example of a way that, because it's hip hop that you do, right? Hip hop. So can you give an example of a way, if hip hop has ever saved your life? Has there been a moment?
I like that reference to Lupe. That was
I love
cool.
Lupe, and I got you. But has there been a moment where you were like, I think that this is me, and I need to do this for me to survive? What has hip hop done for you?
Oh man, hip hop has done wonders for me. As far as in terms of surviving, literally, if I wasn't writing, I definitely would have died. You know what I'm saying? I may not have went through gang violence, but like I said, in 12th grade, like I was clinically diagnosed depressed, and I've had situations with facing suicide, where things was, you know, completely, you feel like there's nothing else to live for, and outside of emotional things and people that really believed in me to try to pull me back out of that dark place, if I couldn't express these thoughts or write about these things or vent or put how I feel out somehow without feeling misunderstood, then it probably would have been worse. I probably would have continued in that destructive pattern.
Okay, so now in high school, just for the sake of any young people listening, during that time when you put out Revelations, your first CD, who was there? Any book you were reading, any article, any person that told you anything? This is not Hometown Heroes yet, but we're still talking about you becoming a solo artist and taking this that seriously.
Okay. Works that I was studying around that time. I studied a lot of Eminem's music, but there was in particular book that I had something called 50 Great Essays.
50 Great Essays.
And I don't know like where I even got that from. I don't know if someone gave it to me or I just pretty much found it lying around one day. And I started reading 50 Great Essays, and it's basically like a collection of works over history from great leaders and great writers that wrote notable things that people still cite, that people still look to for guidance. And the one that stood out to me was, I'm not sure if this is the exact title. I think it's called The Perfect Prince, written by Machiavelli. And that gave me power, man. Like I read that and it made me understand where I wanted to be as far as like confirming my own self-worth. And I think, yeah, that if you get a chance to go out and get 50 Great Essays, or even just look up The Perfect Prince by Machiavelli.
I think one of the things I really do want to ask you is what decisions did you have to make to stray away from Yonkers violence? Because being a young black man in Yonkers and going to schools, you know, that are in areas, regardless, there's some violence in Yonkers, a lot. And how did you manage to keep yourself away from that? How did you deflect that? You know, especially you now becoming a rapper, a Yonkers rapper. There are so many Yonkers rappers, and there are so many Yonkers rappers that have negative messages. There's more that have positive messages, and there's more that are ruthless than others. How did, you know, was there any beef that you had to deflect? How did you deflect beef throughout rappers in Yonkers?
You can't. It's hard to run from the violence in Yonkers. You could try to change it.
But you have.
We try our best to change it.
So how did you do it? What
Pretty
did you
much,
tell yourself?
I just wanted to be known for something else. Like the people, don't get me wrong, the people that do portray violence in their songs, I don't discredit them. I feel like there's some people that do it because they think it's cool, but a majority of underground artists that portray that stuff in their lyrics, they live it. You know what I'm saying? This is, I'm this person because I'm here to survive and nobody's gonna take me off, and this is, be scared of me because I'm not trying to die. that's, you know what I'm saying, that's what it is. And I work with some of these artists, and me personally, like I said on the last topic, when I started to discover my self-worth didn't come from being tough, or like, because I got bullied plenty of times. Like coming up, middle school, early high school, like I was bullied. I had to get into fights sometimes, not because I was angry or trying to, like, I had to defend myself, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't want my self-worth to be based on violence or somebody being scared of me, you know what I'm saying? I wanted my self-worth to be because I inspired you to do something better, you know what I'm saying? Because you had a conversation with me, or you listened to me, and you wanted to be great. And that's still my message to this day. That's still what I want to invoke in people, is to make them want to be great.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. So now, what kept you so confident? What made you know that I'm a good rapper? I'm gonna do this. You guys are gonna like me. Like, what keeps you so confident? There are so many Yonkers rappers. There's so many. You've been in the Dean's List. You've done all these shows across all the boroughs. What makes you keep on going and not give yourself a deadline and say, oh, well, by the time I'm 26, I'm going to stop this rapping stuff. I'll start something else. What's keeping you going?
Well, first and foremost, one of my big inspirations didn't have his debut album out until he was 26. So, you know, that's, I don't look at it as on a time measure. I look at it on a purpose measure. Early on, when I started traveling and doing shows for the Revelation and things of that nature, early high school situations, I was winning. Like, it wasn't that I didn't expect to, but I really didn't expect to. Like, I was just going out there to try to see if, you know, still chasing my self-worth, if that makes any sense. And I was winning these competitions and going on to other shows and then winning cash prizes here and there, and it was like, okay, like I can't be crazy, you know what I'm saying? I can't be, like, sometimes I would feel back in the day that that people wouldn't relate to my music or feel my music because it wasn't like everything that was out at the time, you know what I'm saying? But somehow, some way, I was winning these shows and these competitions, and people were actually giving me positive feedback on what was going on.
And that's what built your confidence.
Yeah,
people like me.
Yeah.
If they didn't like me, I wouldn't be winning.
I wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be winning these competitions. Even the first, and I know you're gonna get into the Hometown Heroes thing in a little bit, but the very last time I was able to perform at the teen talent show that they hold yearly at the library, I won second place, and I was like the first rapper to ever place and won $500. And I was like, all right, this is something, like,
because
I can't.
We all know that only singers and dancers
win that competition. Only,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And no offense, you know what I'm saying? Arnaldo and Elsie, it's love, man, because y'all really started launching my career and stuff. But for a long time, it was singers and dancers. And when a rapper finally won, I was like, nah, there's no way. Like, this has to be of God. Like, there has to be, he's showing me that I'm supposed to be here.
Okay, so now let's talk about the transition from being a solo artist to going into your business. What made you think business? What made you think business? And what made you think of, you know, I could actually be an owner of something. I could actually stop trying to win competitions and start putting on my own shows where my own fans come and watch me.
She's in so hard because she knows where this is going. This lovely young lady right here, one day, after going to a lot of the shows with me and supporting me for so long.
And who's this? Who you talking about?
The Phylisha Villanueva.
Okay.
Yeah. After going to a lot of the shows with me and supporting me really heavily, you know, we had that conversation in your kitchen one day, and you said, you know what? Like, you're out here doing all these shows and da 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 da. And I think it's because, like, one competition, like we had
Your
lost.
mom came.
I forget
It
which.
was at Webster Hall, and your mother came.
Oh yes.
And we all spent money to come and watch you.
We I opened for it was like Beanie Siegel and Freeway there that day. So we did that show, and like I didn't win that competition, but so many people came out for me and I didn't win. And then you sat me down, I think later on that week, and said, yo, don't even be discouraged. You know what? These guys, you need to throw your own show. And it was like, you know what? You have a point. You have a point. Why continue to be on someone else's bill if like we're bringing out all these people to these shows? Why don't we throw our own shows? And then then that day we came up with Hometown Heroes, and it was over after that.
And why Hometown Heroes? Why you went from CJP as a solo artist, and then you decided to call your group or yourself Hometown Heroes?
I think it comes from that whole dilemma that I had before, going out to all these shows out of town and stuff like that, and like having so very little Yonkers representation.
Not to do with Yonkers, yeah.
So it was like, all right, if we're gonna go out here, we're gonna be represented. You know what I'm saying? I want the town to rally behind us. I want the town to be proud of themselves. You know what I'm saying? There was a big time period where like people are always like, oh, F Yonkers is so whack, da da da.
Or people for a good time would leave Yonkers and go find a good time somewhere else.
Right, and I'm like, no, if we find self-worth in ourselves, we can make something great here. We can make this where people want to come. You know what I'm saying? We can make this the spot. And like that's been my mission since we came up on Hometown Heroes. Like, okay, we're gonna throw our own shows. Might as well throw our own events too. Let's work with this organization, that organization. Let's do stuff here that'll make people proud to say they're from here. And I've certainly had a more proud outlook on being from Yonkers since doing what I've been doing.
So what are the type of things that Hometown Heroes has done so far?
We did the ACH concert 2 years in a row. We've done several parties. Most notably the bowling parties, the skate party with Murray's. We did, oh my gosh, the list goes on and on. We did several open mics with Blue Door Art Gallery. We worked with Casa de Cafe. I don't even know, man. We did so much. We did basketball tournaments. We threw like 3 basketball tournaments. The last one, Saunders even letting us rent out Saunders High School gym to throw it there. We brought My Life Tour in collaboration with Scott Morris. We brought My Life Tour to Gordon High School. It's been a crazy ride the last 2 years.
Okay, so why do you think Hometown Heroes is important to Yonkers and is important to Yonkers youth?
I feel like Hometown Heroes is important to Yonkers youth. Not even so much. I want to get people involved. You know what I'm saying? The initial thing going in was, okay, we're gonna create things for people to be more involved and have a way to put aside all the drama and like the stuff that comes from idleness. You know what I'm saying? Or despair from not having anything to do with your hands. So that's what it first came from. Now I realize it's a bigger scale than that, because no matter what, we have forces that are above us and trying to create a system that forces the majority of people in an urban environment to be a certain way. So instead of so much, I can't get everybody from the projects or everybody from the town to come to an event. Not every single person, or I can't get every single person to be a part of a community activist program. But what I can do is do these programs on a large scale and reach out to those people and let them see that there's ways. Like there's ways. You don't have to do that because there's ways to do it. You know what I'm saying? All it takes is a little innovation.
Okay. Before we get into your community aspect, can you talk to me about overall your options? You're a young black man in Yonkers, and you're identified as a rapper, and there are so many stigmas that come behind rappers. But at the same time, you became a business owner. So how did you know you had options? What made you think that big? What made you think, you know what, I don't have to make money this way, I can actually make money this way? Or I don't have to go down this road, I can actually just walk back and take a left and go somewhere else. Where did that even come from?
Wow. I'm gonna go back to the first Hometown Heroes concert. I was 19 years old, and I said to myself, after we had our conversation, okay, why don't we try to throw something at the library? They have this yearly teen event. Why don't we throw something for the urban artists? You know what I'm saying? Like, there should be no reason why I'm the first rapper to ever play. So let's throw something for the urban artists, for the rappers, for, you know what I'm saying, singers of like the urban environment. People told me I was nuts. People was like, you think you're 19 years old, you're gonna ask these people at the library to use their big ass space and they're gonna let you do that? And they let me do that. I don't know why, but, and that's another thing why I speak so highly of God, because I feel like without God, I don't think any of this stuff would have been possible, because there's stuff that didn't make sense that it happened, but it happened. And once I saw that door open for me, I was like, anything is possible. There's absolutely nothing that's impossible. As far as making money and revenue, the first time we threw a bowling party, which was a fundraiser. The first bowling party was a fundraiser to fund our basketball tournament. We needed revenue to fund to initiate the basketball tournament, and we grossed about $4,000.
$4,000.
And the business owners of the alley, they ate beautifully, like, and we all ate beautifully, and it worked out. You know what I'm saying? So little things along the way. I think there's just a spirit of like determination, like in my head and my heart, that I feel like if I want to do this, I'm gonna do it.
You want it that bad.
I can do it. Like, even if people say, all right, well, you know, if it doesn't work out, and if you gotta have this backup plan, I'll worry about that after. I'll worry about that after I find out that I can't do this. But I know that I can do this, so let's do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's So that's been the motto since.
All right, so I want to ask you one last thing. The reason why I even wanted to interview you is because I saw a shift in your aspirations coming from business to wanting to be a very, very active person in your community and wants to see more peace. Tell me a little bit about that.
I've always strived for peace, ever since like we started the whole hometown movement, because like I said, the initial reason for the Hometown Heroes movement was to try to change people's minds and try to get them to leave certain bad habits behind. But it got bigger this year because of current event issues that are going on in the world. We have the case of Trayvon Martin. We have the case of Mike Brown, Eric Garner, and those cases really shook me, because it's like these are issues that like, it shouldn't even be a debate anymore. It shouldn't be a debate anymore. And what awoken my like need to use whatever I have in my resources to try to fight for that purpose, peace on that level, was we were promoting a protest. Hector Santiago and I, we were promoting a protest that he organized for the Eric Garner case. We were doing a Yonkers protest, and Yonkers Voice happened to be one of those outlets for us to promote. And being that Yonkers Voice is home to a big network of people in Yonkers, people from the urban side and the suburban side, you know, were seeing what we were promoting, and a lot of older white adults were like slandering us and slandering what we were doing, and making really racial comments on the promo, the internet promo. and I was like, this is bananas. Like, I can't believe this is still real. Like, that people really still think like this, or look at a young black male like this still. You know what I'm saying? Even if I give them no pre-notion that I'm a troublemaker, even if you look at my profile and you see that I'm an activist, you see that I'm a business owner and all that stuff, they still think certain ways about us.
Okay, thank you so much. We're gonna have to end this. And where can they find you? What is your information?
Okay, you can add me on Facebook. I'm a big Facebook guy. CJ Parchment. Everything else, Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, all that stuff, that's at YUNGCJP, at YUNGCJP. Hank.
Thank you.